Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLNA. I'm Joshua Gray, joined by Randall Holcomb. We continue in the series tonight with two more matches. The first one will be Unpleasant Sensation versus Get Flanked, followed by V-Boys versus Simply Irresistible. As a reminder, please follow us on Twitter at WGLNA, Facebook.com/WGLNA, and use that hashtag for us to find your tweets and put them up on the broadcast.
And don't forget about the question of the day. Who are you predicting to go to our finals? Final match is specifically what we're asking about here, but throw in who you think might win in that, who was going to lose, who's that last stepping stone for someone to join us in the Gold League, be the 16th team. Tomorrow's
possibility we could see Voltage versus the Doge Squad, and that would be quite the matchup. We are looking forward to that tomorrow, but we still have two more matches tonight. Tomorrow we'll be going live at the same time as well at 4:45 p.m. with our pregame show, the first match at 5 o'clock on Pacific time. Also, the betting will begin right now to put your bets in for every single battle for this match. Betting is not tough. All you have to do is follow the instructions that people will tell you in Twitch chat. If you have questions, ask the people in chat. The leaderboard can be found at WGLConnect.com. The top 50 performers when it comes to points at the end of the night will be eligible to win a Jinx code for $50 for their website. They have a lot of great products tied to World of Tanks. If you need something for a stocking stuffer or want to give a gift for that special someone that loves video games, esports, or tanks, definitely check out jinx.com and put those bets in now to have a chance to win that code. Big thank you to our social media correspondent, Dan Actually Shakes Morris. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rosters.
All right, so for both of these teams, I love the theme from Get Flanked. We've got a number of awesome generals' names. We're going to call them some shorthands they were able to supply us with, and Unpleasant Sensations. I'm not sure. I don't recognize a lot of these names. They're very new to me, so I'm going to be looking. Oh, Super Impreza is a name I recognize.
Jim Carrey is going to be joining us from Unpleasant Sensations.
Sweet.
You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Don't worry, I won't do it.
Please don't do it.
How topical. All right, here we go. Battle number one on steps between these two teams. What do you have for tanks?
All right, looks like Unsen is going to be the blue team defending, and they will be bringing a T-32 Pershing, two 1390s, RU-251, and two M41 Walker Bulldogs. On the other side, Get Flanked is bringing a Pershing, T-69, two RU-251s, a T-54 Lightweight, an M12, and an M41 Walker Bulldog. The M12 is an interesting choice. I'm looking forward to see if that performs as well as some other tanks we've seen already. And that T-54 Lightweight, can it perform well? It has a 100mm cannon on it, which is pretty okay, but it's not super impressive next to what the RU-251 can bring. If you catch my drift on that one.
I do catch your drift, and I will coast it all the way to the shore. Here we go. General Walker, along with Ridgeway, Haphazard Osprey, and Dwight D. Eisenhower. We'll call him Ike for short.
Now Jim Carrey's doing a little bit of what I always say when I watch his movies, is just, what are you doing? As he's going to be on the wrong side of the tracks, I feel, gets back on over, takes a hit for it, and, well, he's just going to stick around, doing more of that Jim Carrey kind of a deal. I think he should get out. I think this is not a safe position to Get Flanked. It's going to very easily be able to approach the position and cut off Jim Carrey's escape.
A little bit of dancing back and forth coming from Get Flanked's positioning here. They have a number of tanks on the no man's road. Douglas MacArthur, call him Mac, from behind.
Jim Carrey's moving up. Might find Dwight D. Eisenhower. Two of them squaring off with backup from Alex Bam. And that's a 2v1 waiting to happen. Where is the support from Get Flanked on that T-54 Lightweight?
Well, Get Flanked has sent the RU-251 no luck a little bit further south here. Trying to, down the no man's road, undercover.
Gets a hit into Jim Carrey. That's 266 damage. Nice hit. And we've got a half health 1390 right now. Less than half health. That's 244. Another hit.
Artie from further away does not get the T-32. Lands a couple yards away from the American powerhouse tank. Now, Zykin and Romstar firing back. Romstar takes a hit for 238 as Alex Bam in the 1390 is at less than half health.
Right next to Jim Carrey. Now he's just almost, he's a one hit away. 195, T-54, one more shell will do it.
And Carjacks from Get Flanked, the T-69 with a prime shot. is able to get it. And a couple more hits towards Jim Carrey, and he falls.
Oh,
Ike gets the hit.
That's a nice shot. Look down the line. That is such a thin connection to make.
That was the same from Carjax as well. 2 excellent shots with those thin connections. Carjax gets hit for 269, returns fire, but hits the T-32 from further back. Zykin and Romstar dancing back and forth. Artie fires, but does not connect. His right behind Zykin.
He's dead. M41 Walker Bulldogs have gotten into the backfield, and they have taken down the artillery piece, doing exactly what they needed to do in this. Unsen has a chance, and they've distracted a number of get-flanked tanks. They need to take down one of them. Just find one, cut him off. This T-54 is a perfect target. They just need to keep the fight moving. They have to keep it moving, not stopping like this, and it should work.
As Stromhauser tries to move, he hits the rock, and he is in danger, but he fires back and gets a shot on Dwight D. Eisenhower. However, up top, Carjax trying to defend against Zykin, who's able to take down his battle buddy. Carjax dancing back and forth next to the rock, waiting for an opening position, and here comes Ridgeway with that opening against Zykin. It's going to be a 2-on-1. The T-32 still a little slow to try to get up in that firefight as the Pershing is fighting back. It's a big hit against Ridgeway, and another tank does go down. 2 tanks remain for Unsen.
You got to give it, though, to them. The M41s have done their job rather well. Now we just need the follow-up from, well, I guess it's 1 tank now. Pershing, I was hoping could do a little bit more, but Valdemaris conceivably can win this. Carjax just team kills his Pershing. No, that's his M41. Amazing. Just unfortunate shot right there. And Valdemaris is going to take down Carjax, but he needs to get turned around so he can get General Walker.
Too much HP on that RU-251. Walker gets behind and gets the shot and the kill. Get flanked. A little bit crazy towards the end with that team kill shot there. Got to be careful about your fire, but they're able to get the victory nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at the damage in the post game. It's looking like Dwight D. Eisenhower has racked up the most damage for his team, 2,462 in that tank. You got to give it to him for that early game, making the right shots. Carjack's doing a solid job. Unfortunately, 101 damage in team damage. Not quite ideal there. But you got to give it Subaru Impreza. He was the last M41 to go down. And I watched some excellent play from him. I was talking about keeping the fight moving for the M41 Walker Bulldog. And at first it stopped. And when that momentum kind of just hit a rock, literally and figuratively, you saw where the T-54 lightweight and the SU-251, RU-251, sorry, were able to get the damage and start winning in that. But once the M41 started moving again, he was able to get shots in the move very quickly and deal a good amount of damage before going down. He left one of the RUs at almost dead.
And this is where Get Flanked was on that precipice of making that decision. How many tanks do we commit to our south without sacrificing the north? What kind of coverage do we stick to in order to avoid taking shots from the south? I felt they dealt with it well. But after they took care of what was happening in the south, they lost momentum in dealing with the tanks to the north. Yeah. And that's where that polish and that refinement has to come from Get Flanked. Now, they are excited about how their performance went when it came to qualifier number 1. The Gold League is no longer a pipe dream for them. And so with that type of experience they had from last week and the type of confidence that would bring them a little bit, but also kind of overthinking some things as well, they need to be cautious of as we move into battle number 2, Get Flanked versus Unsen. On steps as well. Again, Get Flanked will be attacking. Unsen will be on the defense. What do we have for tanks?
All right, looks like Unsen, the blue team defending, will have a T-32, Pershing, 2 AMX 1390s, RU-251, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. Seems like a very standard lineup. 1390s with some burst, RU-251, just a potent tank. Maybe one more, maybe one less. Not a big deal. Get Flanked. Pershing T-69, 2 RU-251s, that T-54 lightweight again, and the 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs.
Position movement coming from Get Flanked is a split. 2 of the tank, 3 of the tanks going towards the No Man's Road is Unpleasant Sensation. Sending a number of their tanks down to the south, but using the Eastern Valley, typical coverage for their opening spot. Multiple tanks now from Get Flanked moving towards that northwestern flag cap.
And with Unsen, we're seeing them play a more conservative opening, going to the south this time with a few of their scouts. Subaru taking the farthest in his M41, and the 1390s kind of following up. Jim Carrey and Alex aren't going to be cut off this time. Their escape route is rather safe and solid. They can just turn around, hit in that low ground, and be out of there in no time. Whereas before, they were kind of exposed. Now, Romstar and Zyken, I'm concerned with the position they currently hold, which their retreat path is exposed. They have this hold down and only this hold down to keep them safe. If we see cross shots coming from the south, these guys are going to take fire and it's going to hurt. Now, if they can work with this and Ridgeway continues taking damage as he is, because he is almost dead, that's it. Wow.
He's gone.
All right, that's paid for it. The position has worked. Unsen has gotten a little bit of a lead already. Where do we go from here, then?
Looking at, first of all, the Walker Bulldog from Hazard Osprey in his position to the very, very south, I believe. He is looking for that potential flank that came last time. However, the difference is they don't have an Artie to worry about. They have the speed necessary to escape just in case, and now Haphazard Osprey is going to move from that position. The scouting right now is very, very important. It always is important, but it's very important for get flank from behind because they can still chip away at Unsen and still try to get behind enemy lines on the northern side on the railroad.
Looks like we have some fire coming from Jim Carrey, Alex Bam, and those connections may have gone onto Carjax. He is now at 797 hit points out of his about 1,400. Those connections have softened up get flanked, and I think might stall them in their ability to make any kind of a successful attack. With the T-69 at half health, Dwight's taking a hit, and with one tank less, they don't really have the forward momentum to gain any control and set any tempo. The tempo is in favor of Unsen at this point, and they are on the defense. So with that, they can simply have this control and waste the clock with it. That's all they need to do. Get damage where it counts, keep flanking in little spots here and there, dealing a little bit of damage, and get flanked won't be able to get that control back and get the and identify the weak points, if you will, and then begin that process of exploiting them.
Shot fired from the Pershing from General Douglas MacArthur.
Also, Eisenhower in the north is taking some damage. He's about 531 between the Pershing Zyken and the T-32 and Romstar. He may go down soon.
This is a tough spot for get flanked, and another shot fired. Looks like it was a bounce.
But the eyes from the Pershing are moving to the south. This may be an engagement. It is. And No Luck is taking damage. Jim Carrey is in a beautiful flanking position on the high ground, backing off, and there goes No Luck. Subaru Impreza, though, is at half health and is taking damage.
And General Walker, the 251, now pushes up and gets a shot on the move against Subaru Impreza.
Alex is backing off. He does not have the shells, and T-32 and M41 from the north are bringing some fire in, but Alex Bam is on the run.
Walker now following Alex Bam, trying to get the shot from behind around this corner, waits for it, can't get the shot on the move. Now from up top, we'll have to wait. Whoa, gets some air in the RU-251 and fires on the move and gets the shot. Beautiful play from the RU-251. Walker now is going to move to the center to get back into the engagement.
All right, in the meantime, we've got the T-54 lightweight. Ike is moving on. Zyken is winning this, and there it is. 2 kills. Dwight and Walton are going to go down simultaneously.
There goes Jim Carrey. Osprey then falls to the T-32. It's 4 against 2. Unsen has the advantage. They have control of the defensive spots on their flag cap, and now they're getting the surround on their teammates for support, and they get the kill against MacArthur. 1 tank lives. Carjacks, T-69, less than half health, fires on the move, takes a shot in the front and on the side, is spun as his tracks are destroyed. He goes to the repair and tries to dive down below, can't get it. Unsen puts a point on the board, and for the first time tonight, Randall, it is not a shutout.
All right, I'm glad to see that. It was a solid play from Unsen. They did kind of get lucky in a way, I feel. That early pickup when you saw an M41 go into the wrong position, I think that really was a mistake by Get Flanked early on, and they were not able to recover. They're not the kind of team that were prepared for that yet. And a little more practice, maybe they can kind of recover, but that early kill on the M41 really set Unsen up for victory. With that, you had lost scouting, lost vision, lost map control, and Unsen were able to take that extra tank and put it wherever they wanted, finding success.
It's a really good point that you made about that crisis management. Something goes wrong, you lose a tank. A tank's disconnected, as we saw from Voltage at the beginning of the night. Or an ammo rack happens. how do you adjust, how do you deal with it at a deficit? And on a map like Steppes, to me, I find more difficult to adjust to those type of crises compared to Himmelsdorf, because Himmelsdorf, there's a lot more cover, there's more getting around that corner, falling back, regrouping, go a different route, et cetera, et cetera. Steppes, when you have to regroup or you have to find a different location, it's going to take a while to get there, or it's going to take a while to form up. And to get to that spot, you have to move to the outskirts of the map or use the no man's road to make it to that position.
Yeah, I share that thought. It's just such a big, wide map as opposed to something that is perhaps you could say kind of long or tall, where you feel like there's one lane along which there's great distance. Everywhere you're a great distance from your opponent, and in order to approach either of the caps, you have to expose yourself so much, which is what makes it so difficult for an attacker to recover from that in this situation.
Battle number 3 between Get Flanked and Unpleasant Sensation is about to begin on Steppes. What do we have for tanks?
For tanks, we're looking at flip sides, by the way. So Get Flanked is now the defenders, and Get Flanked will be bringing 2 T-32s, a Pershing, 2 RU-251s, a T-29, and an M41. They are now blue team. That's Get Flanked. No longer red, guys. Unsen, now the red team attacking, is bringing a Pershing, 3 1390s, RU-251, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. You can see where they're going for burst. And 1390s are kind of, maybe kind of last season's flavor. Whereas you see Get Flanked is bringing the RU-251s, which are kind of this season's thing. Nah, they're what everyone's kind of going for. They're in style.
Sure.
You know, the RU-251 is the new 1390 or something.
Things that are in style, things that are fashionable, always go in cycles. They do. We saw a lot of RDUs, but of course we have to factor in the differences in patch changes, balance changes, all sorts of tweaks, etc. when it came to tanks over the number of years we've been doing esports. And now look at this movement coming from Unsen. Almost completely going to the northern side except for one tank.
That's going to be Veloxa in the M41. Pretty standard choice right there for the flank tank. He's going to use his mobility to just get around the side, see if he can find any spotting or get any free damage here or there. There's one shot going out, and that could be where we see a little damage. No connection. Right?
That bounced off the T-29. Looking for any scrape damage on the hull of the tank. Looked like it hit the hull, but did not connect at all.
I remember having a conversation about using the T-29 with some of the pros when I was able to speak to them. And some people were saying the T-29 just is too slow. But I feel like this is one of those situations where the T-29 really shines. It really is one of those tanks that is able to perform exactly as it is intended.
Get Flanked. Loses their first tank, Matthew B. Ridgway. Again, the M41 Bulldog dancing between these two small hills is exposed to too much fire on the northern side. That is going to reveal where most of Unsen is, and Get Flanked in their defensive posture. All they have to do is turn their turrets into that direction. However, Veloxa is proven to be a thorn in the side of that T-29 who's fired multiple times into that tank.
Not paying attention. And he is taking damage. He has taken 2 shells before he was able to notice. And now it looks like he was too flustered to pay attention to quite where he was driving. And he's been caught completely out, unable to deal much of any damage before he goes down. Dwight is his killer.
And those 2 tanks are going to have to move back into the Eastern Valley or decide to use the No Man's Road to scout the positioning coming from Unsen. Unsen, the attackers, again, have got to destroy all of the enemy tanks or capture a flag cap. Get Flanked as the defenders can either wait until time runs out or destroy all the enemy tanks for a victory.
And now Unsen is facing kind of the same situation we saw, but flipped. When Unsen was on the defense and Get Flanked attacking, you had that loss of a tank, which was very crucial. And Veloxa represented the entire control over the southern half of the map. Unsen now has to respond to this, otherwise they risk themselves getting flanked and taking too much free damage, then losing any chance of getting an attack. Their response is to overmatch. It makes sense. Send Jim Carrey, I'll just say all the 1390s and the remaining M41 to the south, and kind of regain control. In the meantime, they are forced to leave one of their Pershings behind. Actually, their only Pershing. Zykin is down to very low health. He is not perfectly safe. Some shells can get to the top of his turret, connect there, and that would be his death. 233 hit points. That should be it. T-32s can get him.
Carjax fires, cannot get the next shot on Zykin, who's still backing back and forth to dodge these hits. And Get Flanked smartly does not have to chase after him for the kill. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left. Oh, big bounce against Zyken. It's up to Unsin to push up against Get Flanked. And even amount of tanks still left alive, but Zyken is so low, this is going to start to cripple the northern flank of Unsin, but they're using the southern push now to get up into.
Looks like it was expected. T29 and Pershing sitting right there, putting 2 shells into Subaru Impreza. He may go down quickly. There it is, tracked even in the open, and that is what they're going to pay to begin this engagement. Jim Carrey is very close, and they're 1390s with him.
Yeah, now they're going to move up together. Vol takes a number of big hits and a miss, but there goes Ike. He is down. However, Walker's going to press up against a 1390. The burst fire coming from these tanks is huge. And one barely left alive. The T29 and the Pershing are now splitting their fire. No, they're going to focus.
They've left Valdemaris alive.
And now he's finally fallen. Val was able to take a couple more shots, I believe, into the back of those tanks. And now Jim Carrey and Alex are on the run. Shot fired into Alex. I think the tank caught on fire for a second. Big explosion as Alex falls, and Jim Carrey trying to escape.
Yeah, and Romstar on the flank is not able to really contribute to that fight. He was really almost inconsequential to Get Flanked. He just wasn't in the position and didn't pick up on how Get Flanked was focusing their fire to the south rather than to the west. Romstar is going to try to escape, and he might with all these heavies and medium tank.
But nothing's accomplished when they escape except to save a couple credits and repairs for their tank here, since Get Flanked is on the defense. Long range shot towards Jim Carrey. Does not connect for no luck. Romstar, low, 282 damage, firing from Hazard, but it's Carjacks that gets the kill. 1 tank remains from Unsin, as Get Flanked has 4 remaining on the battlefield, 1 minute and 9 seconds. They can either hold back or go for the chase. Looks like they're falling back and waiting for Jim Carrey to make the move.
Yeah, and he might be able to spot someone if they get close enough. Is anyone even moving close enough?
No, they've all backed out.
Oh, that's it. Douglas MacArthur taking 256 damage. Jim, I'm not sure if he spotted that, but you can spot across there.
Another shot fired from Osprey. Jim returns fire, but it hits the dirt. Fires to the T29. It bounces.
Still not bad. Didn't realize he would get quite that spotting. I think it has to do a little bit with these guys' crew skills. Jim Carrey setting up to be a scout, and then maybe Douglas MacArthur not really having the camo skill in that T32. Something he would have the benefit of if this were a regular season Gold League match with the Unlocked Accounts with Perfect Crews.
More shots from the Pershing and T29.
Oh, please say that blind fire is going to connect.
Oh! Does not connect. Whizzes right over Osprey.
Come on, Jim Carrey. You got 7 seconds. Kill them all. Just ammo rack every single one of them.
Another shot fired. Can't get it. 2, 1, and Jim Carrey's able to land 1 shot against Osprey, but it's too late. And as we move into the next battle, Get Flanked will be up 2-1 against their opponent's Unpleasant Sensation.
Yeah. Looking at the post-game stats, Jim Carrey is the top performer as far as damage on his team, but unfortunately, it looks like the M41, one of them wasn't able to perform well. We've got Zyken, unfortunately, pressed into a position where he wasn't able to be effective. He had to keep his head down, which is the problem. If the Pershing can't use its hold down to its advantage, it seems like a waste to me. It seems like you shouldn't have had that position, or you should have had stronger cover fire for the Pershing. And I think that's the big problem with Unpleasant right now. I think they're bringing solid lineups, but they're not necessarily utilizing them to the ideal capacity, to their ideal way they're going to work out. And you can see that in the way they attempt to begin some of these attacks. They are bringing these 1390s in, and just alone the 1390s are doing a good job. But next to everything else, they're not synergizing well. That RU-251 is not able to contribute to this fight, but these 1390s handle themselves very well.
And you'll notice at this moment right here, this is where Get Flanked, many will say they made a mistake. This 1390, Val is able to land, I believe, 1, maybe 2 more shots. They're thinking, all right, he's not a threat. Let's push against the tanks that are more of a threat. that tank can still do damage. Even though he has a sliver of health, he can still do damage. Unless you were counting every single shot and somebody made the call, hey, he's out of shots. There's not going to be much ram damage from a 1390. We're fine. You got to be very cautious about that. You cannot count those tanks out. Also, a couple missed shots from Get Flanked right at the beginning. They did have good focus fire for the first tank they destroyed. The second tank, there was some slight hesitation and confusion, I believe, because Val was still left alive behind them. But they made the call, hey, somebody else take care of that. Let's focus on these tanks, on these two 1390s.
The immediate threat.
Yeah, the immediate threat. You got to be very cautious about that, though, because you can also count out an M41 Bulldog, and it can do similarly more damage. Take a little bit a little bit longer, but it can. What do we have for tanks? Battle number 4.
All right, so it looks like we're going to have Get Flanked, the blue team defending with 2 T-32s, a Pershing, 2 RU-251s, a T-29, and 41 Walker Bulldog at the end of that. The other side, Unsen, is going to be bringing a Pershing again, 3 1390s, RU-251, and the 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. So their standard strat. Let's see if they can find that weak point.
Looking at the opening movement from Get Flanked first. They're staying in that northeastern valley section. No real reason to move. They could maybe go for the blitz, but a little bit on the crazy side here.
It could work.
It could work.
There's a chance. There's always a chance.
And red team, Unsen. Same tactic and placement. Is it the same tank? Is it
Veloxa?
Veloxa. Is it Veloxa?
It is, in fact, Veloxa.
Same opening run. And Chicken takes a hit. He falls back. Ooh, shot fired, tracked, and another one right over the turret. As the Walker Bulldogs could escape from that position and head towards his team on the eastern side, able to scout the positioning of Unsen on the east. Maintaining defensive posture to watch both flag caps, and we will watch the clock tick down as Unsen's going to have to make a choice. Send those tanks to the north, across those railroad tracks again, and hopefully don't get destroyed, or come up with a different strategy.
It looks like much of the same general approach. They're searching for a weakness, attempting to put pressure on their opponent's flank to force Get Flanked to look in that way. They want them to be watching the west while they perhaps attempt something to the south. And that's going to be the job of Veloxa to find that exploit, and it looks like Valdemaris in the 1390. He's going to be covering a little bit more. Behind him, it looks like Jim Carey is going to be in an overwatch position on him. And actually, more light tanks are shifting south. You can see on the mini-map. They're all shifting just a little bit south to kind of get a better angle, both to the east at their opponent's known position and to the south at a suspected position.
Still back and forth, the dance of death between the two teams. No fallen engagement yet.
And this is what I'm waiting for. This with the M41 Walker Bulldogs in the south. You see Chicken and Veloxa squaring off a little bit, well, potentially. Veloxa is in a passive position, watching to the east, waiting for Chicken to come on out. And Chicken is attempting to do this in an active way. Now, I don't like him being on the downhill like that. That makes him a very easy target for anybody watching from the west, because he's practically turned so that his top is more exposed, as opposed to just his side armor. Now he's got this nice, open, thin armor on the top of his tank. And it's not like he's going to bounce much anyway.
Oh, 2 hits. One did bounce. One did connect 143. He's going to, takes a hit from behind. Another one on the side. Chicken is in trouble, and he falls.
And that's Velox in that passive position, getting the spot. And then you've got the support from everyone else. Valdemaris is going to take a shell to gain this advantage, but I think that's worth it.
No Luck takes a shell in the T-29. So Unsen is now up in tanks. However, they still have to press against the defense of Get Flanked. But 3 minutes and 30 seconds, Unsen has got to move now.
They really need to make this push happen. They have a slight advantage here, and this is where they can make that push. Veloxa is, it looks like, still trying to find where he wants to go to get in here. Looks like just driving back and forth, a little bit inefficient, as he's going to move in behind Valdemaris, who appears to know exactly where he wants to go. That's east, directly east, towards his opponent, begin the southern flank. Veloxa and him together with Subaru, also moving in that direction. Jim Carey doesn't seem to care as he's moving out in the open. exposing himself, but I guess knowing that Get Flanked isn't watching that angle exactly. It's too low.
Well, Hazard Osprey, No Luck, and Dwight D. Eisenhower waiting for the approach coming from Unsin. On 3 different, well, actually 4 different approaches they could take, because there is still those 2 tanks from up top on those railroad tracks.
And Zyken, over there.
1 tank, Zyken. Here comes the attack. Veloxa takes a hit for 264. Another shot for 362 in the total volley. Valdemaris now pushes up, 232 shot into his side tank, and this is where Getflank has to make the decision which tank they have to focus on first. Super Impreza is the lowest one, and their team will focus on Hazard Osprey. Getflank now down 2 tanks to 1 of Unsen. Vol takes another hit for 353 as Jim Carey's going to be focused next by the tanks further along. And Dwight is able to get a shot and a kill. Walker almost dead. Jim Carey falls, though. Walker still left alive. A little bit of ram damage coming from Unsen for some team damage there. MacArthur and Carjacks now pressing up against the 2 remaining tanks from up top. As Zyken from behind could line up a couple shots, and he does against that T-32.
Maybe 1, maybe 2 at tops. If Carjack sticks around, perhaps more. But with that, Getflank just had to move forward, and they were able to take out Romstar. But here's the regroup. You've got Alex Bam moving back to the west and possibly north. He needs to regroup with Zyken, and they can handle this. 1390 gets reloaded. He can take out both General Douglas and Dwight. Carjacks will be left alive, perhaps, but Zyken should be able to handle that 1v1. It's difficult, though. It's a very difficult situation with what we're looking at. Zyken needs to get 1 or 2 more shells in here of damage. He's taking one himself.
Power of a T-32 and his friends versus a Pershing. Notice he's stopping the Pershing in its tracks, but still opening himself up to allow shots from his teammates to land into the tank. However, Zyken takes down MacArthur. Carjacks tries to line up the final shot here. Dwight is in trouble. Zyken gets the kill. 47 seconds left on the flag, or excuse me, on the timer, and now Carjack's up against a 1390.
He cannot afford to bounce. Alex Bam cannot bounce. If he bounces...
And he bounces once. And he misses another shot. Carjacks has it. He has it in the bag.
That's it.
The T-32 with a track that's destroyed is waiting for the repairs, and now he can move up against a 1390 with 23 seconds left to go. The autoloader tank is not going to be able to do anything against this T-32. Ram damage would crumple the 1390 up against a powerhouse tank from the T-32. Well, 12 seconds left. There's no time for him to get on the flag cap. Carjacks waiting for another reload, for another shot to Alex. Big hit for 318. 5 seconds left to go as Alex is going to straight up go for a ram damage assault. Can't get the kill, kills himself, and that's it. Get Flanked is now up 3-1.
Yeah, so close, and it was going better than expected. I watched a Pershing just ram into an RU, and with that, get the kill. That was 1 shell he didn't have to waste on anything, and that set it all up for the 1390 to just clean it and just get the win, but was not able to take down a T-32, wasn't able to put the shots in the right place. If he'd been a little calmer, cool, and collected maybe in that moment and just taken a deep breath and went, I just have to connect these. It's not how long it takes me to connect these. I just need to make these connections, and I will win. If I bounce, I lose. And I think he may have gotten a little ahead of himself in the situation and not quite given himself the time. Because look at the health pool of that 1390. That's a situation when you have health to work with. You haven't used any of your repair kits. You haven't used your medical kit for one of your crew members, or all of them, depending on if you're running gold. You're in a situation to win. Every time you should win, but unfortunately, because of the clock, you're not able to get the reload. So you had the 1 clip, and you just didn't get it.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario to be in. Everything falls on your shoulders, and that is the beauty of World of Tanks. It is a team game, but there's so much individual performance that when you see 1 versus 1 such as that, you have to make your shots count. You have to make those shots land, and you have to know the intricacies not only of your tank, of its strengths and weaknesses, but also the enemy tank. 1390 was trying to get behind that T-32, but also the body blockage of the dead tanks around it allowed a number of those shots to not necessarily go wild, but adds a little bit more of, oh no, I got to slightly move, slightly adjust, and he can't get the shot. Yeah. Next map's going to take place on Prohorovka. Another open map. First time we're going to see Prohorovka tonight. And Get Flanked needs 2 wins to secure the victory and move on to tomorrow. Unsen has 1 win under their belt, but this is going to be an uphill climb for them in this series. Countdown has begun. battle number 5. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, I'm looking at a Pershing, 3 1390s, RU-251, 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. That is looking like red team attacking. Sorry, I get myself mixed up. Get flanked, we're bringing 2 T-32s, 3 RU-251s, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. I like that setup, T-32s kind of to be that tank that is that hard center of everything, keeping everything together and pulling your opponent's focus. The RU-251 hit squad, like we saw from Simple Tankers, can just move around that and annihilate tanks one by one.
Now, Get flank will be on the defensive. Pro Horovka, and as their tanks get closer to the center, we'll see what type of aggression Unsen's going to bring. They're going to decide to use the hill and eastern side of the map. Big shot into Romstar first, 254 damage.
Didn't even care. Get flanked. Dwight just goes up and over, says, no one's here. Looks like it's just Romstar making a solo scout run. Free damage. And then he just gets to do exactly that. Get flanked. What looked like they were prepared to just go at their opponent and just attack, weren't they?
They were straddling that line. They wanted to see is there an opening next to the railroad tracks, the crossroads? No, there's not. Let's move away. It allowed that audible to be called.
Okay. It was suspiciously aggressive, and I liked it. And now I can see what their intentions were. Clearly, Get Flanked is moving off of this into a predetermined layout.
Carjacks takes a hit for 222 in his T-32. Another one for 198. He's trying to get a revenge shot against Romstar, but he takes damage from the hill because of it. However, that's going to indicate the danger on that side, and that these T-32s, even though they need to be a constant presence to watch this crossroad, do not need to poke up and fire. They can wait for their team to come, or the enemy team to come to them.
And now to the north, we are seeing shots fired towards Dwight and No Luck, who must have been spotted, but doesn't look like they've taken any damage.
Dwight cruising down to the south. He will leave No Luck and the other RU-251 to watch the northern side across the train track. He's going to peek over. Val's going to get closer. Valdemaris will not take a shot. 1980.
And actually, he could go over on No Luck, and he could burst him down, but there is a tiny window. I mean, Dwight could support, but the T-32s, if he picks the right angle, wouldn't be able to help him out. Valder would just have to worry about his gun depression on the 1390. I guess it's too risky.
Yeah, shot into the side of the elevated mound for the railroad tracks here. I think No Luck was able to hear that shot, so he's not going to be pretentious. He's not going to be crazy. He could allow Dwight D. Eisenhower to get a little bit crazy there as he got really close to the crossroads, trying to bait out a shot. Looking for where Unsen's going to approach. No Luck still dancing back and forth. Taking a look at what's happening further south. General Walton is watching the crossroads on the south side as Chicken and the M41 Bulldog will be able to scout down below. Carjacks and T-32 still the only tank that's taken damage, and him and Douglas
As
MacArthur
you say that,
will bounce back and forth.
As you said, Super Impreza is taking damage in the south, stacking up against Chicken. And he's going to have to back off after he's down to 612 hit points, with Chicken taking no damage whatsoever. And that's going to give a lot of control to Get Flanked. Now they have control of the south, and they can begin working on that. They can't quite just blitz it yet because we have Alex still on the hill. But we could see them try to force Alex out, as I do see blind fire hitting the top of the hill.
Super Impreza takes a hit for 158. He's at half health. And now there are tanks on the flag cap. Get Flanked has to answer what's happening in the center of this map here. As they're looking for openings again, but Unsen wants them to attack. They want them to come across those railroad tracks because they've set up some nice long-range shots. You look at Valex's position, you look up at Alex Bam's position, and then you look at the closer ground forces coming from Subaru Impreza, Romstar, and Mr. Zykin. They're in a good place. Jim Carey playing a bit of that quarterback role. Still on that flag cap here, waiting for somebody to come to him as
he represents just so much threat right now.
Yeah.
But the cover fire is nice. I like Velox's position. You can see him in the very northeast. Has great cover on the northern attack position where Get Flanked is just grouping up right now. Valdemaris is going to get wrecked in just a moment once he finds out what's going on. And there's the up and over.
Complete overmatch to the northern side, but they're also focused not on the tank specifically in the north, but taking out Jim Carrey, at least getting a reset. However, Osprey's taking a lot of damage. That's 2 tanks down for Get Flanked, and these T-32s are trying to keep this map divided, but those tanks from further away, Subaru and Romstar, have excellent shots on the northern side of Get Flanked. They got the reset, though. It's what they wanted. Carjack's looking for a big opening against Jim Carrey. Can't get it. He's going to take a hit. Jim Carrey, however, is low. Close to dying, and now he finally falls. Carjack's going to have to back up as Zykan pushed up. Smart play coming from both sides here, but it's starting to fall into the favor of Get Flanked in the defensive position for the time, but they are low on health. Romstar gets the kill, and if Unsen can push up together as a team, they could get the overmatch and the kill here if everything went perfectly.
Now, there's a minute and 36 seconds left right now. Those T-32s, I think, represent enough threat, though, that this could still go in the favor of Get Flanked. Unsen, grouping up like you're talking about, should be able to clean it up. But with shots like that coming from the T-32s, Romstar could go down very soon. But he is able to pick up no luck, and he will be able to move on. His ability to take on Chicken, though, is my concern. If he does it alone, I really am not sure who's going to win this one, because Romstar is low, but the bigger tank with a more powerful gun. Chicken has enough health to perhaps out-DPM him.
It's going to come down to the wire when it comes to time. Unsin can't really use the flag cap as an option due to the continual resets. They're going to have to go for the kills. Carjax is low. General Douglas MacArthur is next to him in the T-32, and Chicken in the M41 Bulldog is actually going to bolt out of there to get away from the firefight. Smart play coming from Get Flanked here to maintain their presence on the battlefield when the clock runs out so they can get a victory, but they need a reset, and they need a reset now. General Douglas MacArthur has rammed himself into the house, and he's going to take more fire to the sides. He lost his teammate Carjax, and Chicken is nowhere to be found. He's too far away for the reset here. MacArthur is going to push forward, and he does get a reset as the 2 tanks have left the flag cap with 20 seconds left to go. They're going to move as quickly as they can to get towards Chicken. 16 seconds. Chicken is on the move to the south, trying to hide behind the bushes. A Subaru Impreza and Mr. Zykan are going to move as quickly as they can in their tanks to find him for the kill.
It's going to be blind fire to get it, and he is at 646, so you're going to need 3 solid connections at least.
And not when the time runs out. That's it. Get Flank puts another point on the board by Chicken staying alive for the defenders.
All right, well played there. I was really worried there for a second. I thought Get Flanked had a chance to win this by playing the T-32s well, taking some good trades, but you saw their opponent, Unpleasant Sensations, was able to play very competently and was able to take a little bit of control back, get a few kills here and there that they needed, and they cleaned it up. But Get Flanked made the right choice. They said, we're going to lose this, leave.
I really like the positioning of those tanks. One on the hill, one further up on the northwestern side, or eastern side, excuse me, past like the lagoon on that side of the map. And because of that, they would keep baiting out the T-32s to poke up to get the reset. And once they did, they would take fire. The northern side had a complete overmatch, but because of the spread of the amount of tanks that had beautiful shots against them, they didn't know which way to go. They didn't know which way to turn, so they headed back. Yep. And it was a smart play on the defensive side because they didn't have to chase after the aggressors. They didn't have to chase after those tanks that are up on the hill, which in the end is what won them that battle. But this type of tactical maneuvering and placement from the attackers and baiting with the flag cap was very spot on from Unsen.
It was a great way of turning things on their head. You had the attackers take control of a point, and now they were able to thread it with control. And the defenders were now turned into the ones who needed to aggress to regain that. And that was just exactly what needed to happen, because your opponent, Get Flanked, is not prepared to recapture that successfully.
Will they be prepared to capture something differently this time? Will they focus on the same flag cap or go for a different scenario? This is going to have to be an all or nothing for Unsen, as Get Flanked is up 4-1 in this series as we move to battle number 6. What do we have for tanks?
All right, looks like we've got Get Flanked bringing 3 T-32s, 2 RU-251s, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. Unsen, a Pershing 3 1390s, RU-251, 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. Those 3 T-32s, that's going to be a solid defense. They're upping the armor. They're upping the just absolute hit points on their team. Unsen can't compete with that. They don't have really any beefy tanks. They've got the Pershing, Zykan, that's it. But with 3 T-32s, it's going to be hard to just keep up with that.
Get flanked with those T-32s wants to play this from a distance. They're going to be hugging those railroad tracks, and we are seeing a difference here from Unsen. They're going to decide to go to the western side. Unpleasant Sensation is at a tough spot with 1 victory. They need 5 total to win this series. Get flanked is 1 away.
And now with the opening moves, we have both teams on the west. Very old school, if you will.
Very old school.
Way back. We don't get to see this a lot.
Well, Dwight's going to take a hit.
Now we've got both players, both teams, putting people in the bushes on the far west. Valdemaris and Chicken. Chicken not firing, Valdemaris taking the risk to. He may be spotted, and if he is, we'll see some fire moving in.
But look at the damage. Look at the damage to Romstar. 504 in that volley. He peeked up, got a little bit of scouting damage behind these rocks. It was at what cost, honestly?
And there's a bunch of missed shots onto Valdemaris. He doesn't take a single shell after getting spotted, and now Chicken is going down. Get Flank dropped the ball on being able to take advantage of the spotting. Chicken was passive. He is now dead, and Valdemaris is able to escape without taking any damage at all on an incredibly risky run that was super exposed.
So this is happening continually from Get Flank. They're the first ones to lose a tank, and then they try to hold out on Unsen, but Unsen's low for Alex Bam in that 1390.
Get Flank just missed a bunch of shots that probably could have put this game into their favor. But Get Flanked is now looking at a situation where they are down 1 tank. They have about as many hit points paid back. If you count hit points instead of number of tanks, you've got favor still for Get Flanked. But that extra tank could mean control somewhere. You could see a tank coming from the east and just getting free damage here and there, while the rest of Unsen is able to just meet you 1-for-1. It all depends on what Unsen decides to do with this.
It's control, it's firepower, but also look at Get Flank's positioning now. They've fallen back a bit from the center side to not take as much damage from east and west. They want to take more of the aggression from the southern tip. And now, as No Luck is going to be dancing back and forth, trying to scout any tanks that have moved up to the north, he won't find any. That's going to be a clear indication that Unsen is still committed to the south, but they have to be cautious, very cautious of what can happen on the other side of the train tracks.
Yeah, Unsen has taken a little bit more damage now. Valdemaris has finally taken a few hits, going way up in the high ground again, getting spotted, and a few shells coming in. I think an HE shell must have landed near him from maybe a Strompanzer. And I like how you pointed out how they went to the low ground and how we have that kind of a flank coming.
Malaxa. Romstar now up on the hill in the southeastern corner of the map, and they're going to continue to push up and try to get a couple flank fire shots against these T-32s as they are able to land 2 big hits against Valdemarus, 1980.
Oh, and there's a little ram. Malaxa and Romstar are going to hit each other. and they're actually, I don't think they have a good angle.
There's a shot fired coming from the hillside.
Oh, there it is.
Carjax knows that there's danger coming from that section. He's going to pull back along with the rest of his team. Jim Carey danced up a little bit close for an opening just in case those T-32s were open for it. Not the case as they get closer to the railroad tracks. Zykan looking for another open shot, but MacArthur is the one that's going to take a hit. He's going to fire back, but he's low. 761 in that volley. And another tank falls on the side of Get Flanked, but a lot of HP is falling for Unsen.
And Get Flanked is just in this low ground where they're not able to dictate anything. They need to regain control. And you can see how Unsen is taking advantage of it, just putting damage out there, and oddly enough, spreading their hit points very well. Alex, very low. Valdemaris, low. Jim Carey, rather low. Maybe dead in just a moment, but they're spreading their hit points very well right now. And that's keeping a few tanks alive. And you've got tanks like Zykan who are able to run in here at full health and are going to be able to put up a good fight with RU-251s, while the rest of the tanks, which are not so healthy, might be able to do something with these T-32s.
No Luck pushed in a little bit earlier to try to finish off this tank, and he stayed the course so far against this Pershing, and he'll get this kill. Well, actually, Walker will get it as they both fire at the same time. Arthur falls, General Douglas MacArthur. That's 3 tanks against 5. But 3 of them are at very low health with 1 minute and 48 seconds left. Carjax is in some serious trouble. The M41 Bulldog pushes up from behind. Val is able to dodge a shot from No Luck as the 2 remaining tanks are going to push up. Walker is able to dodge multiple shots, goes for the ram damage. 251 not able to secure his friend's life here as No Luck falls. Walker takes a number of hits, and that's it. Unsen actually puts another point on the board, 4-2. I really liked their long-range fire and crippling effect as soon as they moved in against those T-32s.
They recognized their strength. That was their mobility and their ability to use camo and spotting to their advantage. Light tanks maintain their camo as if they're sitting still on the move. So unless you're firing, you're pretty stealthy. They can use that to their advantage. T-32s are big, you know, loud, easy to see, heavy tank, and they're not very flexible. So they're stuck just about where they were. Good guerrilla tactics, good crossfires. That's exactly what won them the game. On top of that, we noted earlier when the light tank exchange happened, going in favor of Unsen instead of get flanked, which should not have been the case.
Looking at the possibilities of a different type of aggression, but also that hillside was well done, at least to put some caution towards those T-32s and to pull them away from the center engagement. Then from there, that's where teams will start to slip up. They'll keep those tanks on that hill for too long. They'll say, hey, we have this long-range attack that's doing a little bit of damage. Let's stay here. No, you want to move from that section to put pressure against the remainder tanks. And Unsen was able to do that. Now, Get Flanked did put up a good fight here, but that was it for them. They're still one battle away from taking this series, but Unsen has shown they have more fight left in their tanks and their crews as we move into the next battle here. Still going to stay on Prohorovka. This is the second map in the total series. Countdown has begun. What do we have for tanks?
All right, looks like we've got a Pershing 3 1390s, RU-251, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. That is for Unsen, the blue team defending. Get flanked, the attackers. We'll be bringing 2 T-32s, 3 RU-251s, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. With Get Flanked in the attack, though, and bringing these T-32s like this, I'm feeling like they can bully Unsen out of one of the two positions, east or west. I'm wondering, and I want to hear your thoughts on this one, Josh, if they should just go up and over with those T-32s and just shove the RU-251s right down their throats.
I think the T-32 should be the first tanks that appear, for sure, and then the lighter tanks can either fall in behind them and then sweep around or go in from another corner. The power of the T-32 obviously is not its speed. We've talked about this many times, but it is its firepower and its armor. And if you make it a damage absorption tank, as in they'll take a 3 or 4 shots, sometimes more than a friendly tank, it keeps more tanks alive longer on the battlefield, which means more damage and better flanking maneuvers.
Precisely. That is exactly what it's there for. Now, look at what these RU-251s are here for, and that is to cut off the north. They've done one of the strategies that makes a lot of sense, which is take one side of the map, bully your opponent out of it, lock it down, and now they can begin doing exactly what Unsen was doing to them earlier, which is taking control and beginning to put pressure on the cap. They're doing it faster, though.
They're doing it faster, and that's going to make Unsen move towards them, and this can allow a lot of early engagement fires from Get Flanked, poking up and then moving down, poking up, moving down, poking up, moving down, doing enough damage, and then finally sweeping in for the kill. However, for Unsen, as they move in closer to the railroad tracks, they are able to do a little bit of damage to Chicken, and they're going to be hugging the coverage of the train tracks as Romstar is going to the northern side. Minute and 25 seconds left. Notice they only have one tank on the flag cap. They don't have to put all the tanks there for all of them to be open to fire, but they have one there and the rest are ready to engage as Unsen's going to move up.
This is also the same position we saw Unsen use in this situation, where they placed him in the most difficult spot to fire on, but not the most stealthy position. The most stealthy is slightly to Hazard Osprey's left, which is a bush. But here, it's actually very difficult to spot him and difficult to get an angle. And we're going to see Unsen do much the same as what Get Flanked did, and they're going to attempt to overmatch the north, which does look like Get Flanked is not quite as set up as their opponent was in the same situation. So I think this might be a situation where Unsen is able to take this fight with the overmatch in the north.
And that overmatch is going to really hurt No Luck. And now Subaru Impreza, Romstar, Jim Carrey, Alex, and Val are engaging No Luck in Area 251. They've pulled away from the flag cap. Return fire is sporadic and not enough to counter the loss of that tank. And Unsen now again with the early lead taking out that tank. However, Zykan is going to be surrounded, and this is the answer Get Flanked needed to give.
Yes, precisely. Recognize that there is an overmatch somewhere, but your opponent still left a few tanks elsewhere. Zykin is left, and to the south there is still another light tank left all alone. I'm worried, though, about Douglas MacArthur. He needs to get into solid cover, and Get Flanked can bring this one back. They just have to find some of those cut-off tanks.
As they will maintain that position, Romstar, Alex, and Val, along with Jim Carrey, have all placed themselves on the other side of the train tracks. The tables have turned as Dwight is able to land a shot from far behind, but he takes a hit for 255. Chicken and Hazard Osprey moving in to help their teammate up north, but look at the positioning of Jim Carrey ready to engage. They think it's an overmatch, but it's not.
And there we go. We actually have great fire coming on Subaru. He is all the way in Echo 0. And you just see those shots find their target perfectly, whereas there are 2 or 3 other possible targets you could have gone for. Get Flanked picks probably the best one in that situation.
As Subaru further away is able to land a couple of shots. Get Flanked cannot return fire and land anything. And so with 2 minutes and 55 seconds, Malaxa takes down MacArthur.
Just being that light tank that was left alone, you did not see Get Flanked provide an answer to that tank, and now Veloxin is in a perfect position to just begin doing damage.
Oh, and 2 tanks shooting at the same time, but killing each other, or each other's teammates, rather. Chicken falls to the north. It's 1 tank alive. It's Carjacks. He says, "Come and get me," in his T-32. And they are ready to come get him. 278, 406, and that's it. Jim Carrey gets the final shot on that. Unsin puts another point on the board. 3-4 right now. They're fighting their way back. Get Flanked. And that type of push and aggression, they're not making strategic moves in their favor. They keep falling into whatever Unsin has waiting for them.
Yeah, Get Flanked made the right move in the beginning. They did exactly as they should have. They bullied their opponent with a heavier lineup, the T-32s, and secured the north. It was a great play. Solid, does exactly what they need to, and then they very quickly move to put cap pressure on. I love it. Sets the tempo, forces your opponent to make some decisions. What they messed up on was exactly the next step, which was actually stop your opponent from coming on in. And they find themselves in this tipsy-turvy little situation where now, where they were defending the east, they have to attack it. And Unsin takes up a stronger position, the position that Get Flanked should have when they had control of this area. Unsin is doing a better job in that respect. Their crossfires, their defensive positions, I'm loving it. They're great. Their attacks, I'm not as sure about, but Get Flanked is not playing so strong on the defense, and it's worrying me. That's where they're falling short.
I keep seeing this from Unsin, right? Okay, 2 in the back, 2 in the front, bait them out, all pounce and attack. If Get Flanked starts to catch on to this, they'll know they need to sweep wider, stop those rear flanks, or stop that hillside from being engaged upon in the first place or being taken in the first place, and from there, start winning the brawls. I don't think Unsin needs to really change anything except trying to figure out who to attack after they land a couple hits and have the HP value in their favor. Battle number 8 between these two teams. What do we have for tanks, Randall?
All right, we are looking at Unsin bringing a Pershing 3 1390s, RU-251, 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. Get Flanked bringing 2 T-32s, 3 RU-251s, 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. And just to remind you guys, it's Unsin on the defense, Get Flanked on the attack.
So final battle in attack-defense mode. If this turns into a tiebreaker, we have to convene with our admin.
Figure out his ruling on who will be attacking, who will be defending on Prohorovka, the tiebreaker map for the day.
A couple shots fired into the dirt from both teams. Get Flanked. Now going to fall back. Same for Unsin. They're meeting each other in the middle for a bit here. This is that classic Prohorovka type play.
Nice opening scout runs. You take a shot on the move, see what you can get. Doesn't look like anything, but the follow-up is worrying because General Walker is down to half health. He's at 565 hit points. Zykin able to get some good hits in there. And luckily, you had Subaru Impreza, Alex, in beautiful positions to deflect that aggression. Those T-32s, they're coming in a perfect time. I think moving in, Josh, on the 6 line with those T-32s is going to provide a really strong cover fire for your tanks directly to the south in that 1, 2, 3 line. That one big column there, you've got some light tanks, those T-32s, great cover fire. This could come into play in just a minute if Unsen tries to make a push or Get Flanked tries to make a push. It's got to be an all-in either way.
Walker, with that amount of damage, has fallen back a little bit here as the rest of his team is spread out away. Walker is in some... Oh, he's okay. I was going to say he's in a little bit of trouble. Look at this counterflank now coming from Get Flanked as they can approach and see the rest of Unsen. And General Walker will start the engagement. Get Flanked has got to flank against them and focus on this first tank that has taken damage. Walker is holding out as long as he can against this aggression. No luck from behind. Walker is able to get the kill. Val now pushes up. That 1390 could do a little bit of ram damage, but he gets the kill. No luck in the 251. He wants to get the ram damage. He wants to get that ram damage. He's going to wait. He's going to wait and get the kill. The shot on the move. Nice shot from No Luck. And that's going to be 2 against 1 when it comes to tanks being destroyed. Chicken is low, but he fires back, takes down Alex, and now Get Flanked is in the lead with 6 tanks.
And that's the cover fire. That's exactly what they needed. They made their shots count, and they had the right tanks covering. Now Jim Carrey is about to go down. There he goes. And Romstar is left alone. Veloxa is nowhere nearby. Zykin is close by, but effectively not in this fight.
Dwight, low, waits for No Luck to push up. No Luck waiting for the shot on the move, but it's haphazard off spray that gets it. Veloxa last alive. If Zykin is the next one to fall. Veloxa is really far away. And as we see his movement.
There he goes. Veloxa, way out to the east, just firing in here. I think it's time for celebrations for Get Flanked.
Oh, we'll see. 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Veloxa is on the defensive side. He could outmaneuver possibly, maybe get a couple resets. It's a lot of what-if scenarios and maybe a little bit of miracles here, but we can't count him out yet.
You're right. There's a chance. There's always a chance as he is on the defense. But you have tanks like Hazard Osprey and Chicken moving in. They can at least put a good hurt on Veloxa. No Luck is right on his tail. That's a tier 8, really powerful tank against this M41. And M41's going to make the choice of going, nice jukes there. No Luck's not going to be able to turn around quite as quick. But he can't dodge shells.
Oh, like Velox is able to dodge slightly here. But Chicken may go for the ram damage. He wants to kill. Oh, Chicken! Careful. He almost lost it.
No Luck gets him. No Luck gets him. And some celebration team kills
celebration
right at the
coming
end.
from Get Flanked. Well done, Get Flanked. That southern maneuver is what changed the momentum for that team.
Yeah, I think that also putting your T-32s right where they were, I liked that. They had just enough draw distance to get some fire into the tanks moving down the 2 line. Now, on top of that, watch the shots on the Subaru. Great fire from every direction onto that. Valdemaris is going to take a little bit of damage here, and luckily he does catch fire. HE shells crit so hard, and this 1390 did not have the fire extinguisher he needed to deal with that situation. Unfortunate. I think fire extinguishers are very important to bring, and Valdemaris did not in the situation. It's his own choice. Sometimes it works out very well, but if you catch fire, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, fire bad, as we learned a long time ago watching Saturday Night Live with Phil Hartman.
Nice. Nice.
Well, I really enjoyed this type of scenario, these type of engagements from both teams in the sense of, one, it wasn't a shutout, which was nice to see, but two, we saw strengths from both, and we saw adaptation coming from Get Flanked. And the toughest part about any type of competition is being tilted, in my opinion. You know you can do this. You've done it in the past. You've been in the lead, and then you start falling apart. People will start backbiting each other. They'll start grumbling. They'll start, getting upset beyond the healthy the healthy limits of being upset when it comes to this. And that's when a team can fall apart. It did not happen to Get Flanked at this time, but I really, really hope that unpleasant sensation continues to fight either in the Silver League or the Bronze League and tries again in the next season, the qualifier. We saw some good things come from them.
Yeah, I think they're a good team that, given a little bit more time, might be able to come and compete up at the level of the gold. Get Flanked? Not bad. Looks good.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how they do tomorrow.
Yeah.
as they'll be going up against some serious teams.
I mean, they have a possibility of facing Doge Squad or Voltage, and what we saw tonight, it is tough to measure based on the opponents that those two teams had earlier tonight, but Get Flanked is going to have to polish, look at the VODs, look at their replays, see what went wrong, see what